Triple E EDC back again with another knife video. This is the Cold Steel Black Talon 2. Now this is a vicious looking knife. Right off the bat, let's get that out of the way. It's got this S-shaped blade, as you can see right here, and it is it's sort of Cold Steel's answer to the Spyderco Civilian. Now, some of you may be familiar with the Civilian and the Matriarch. They're S-shaped self-defense knives that are available from Spyderco. The Matriarch is the one that's more Delica-sized, and the Civilian is more Endura-sized. Those are rough estimates. They're not exactly correct. I think the Civilian's a little bit larger than the Endura. But in any event, this is a large knife itself, and again, is Cold Steel's answer to the Civilian. It is not necessarily intended for an EDC type knife, but it does have some EDC capabilities. I will do my usual disclaimer with self-defense knives that, knives are not necessarily the best choice for self-defense. Obviously, if you can carry a firearm, that's your best bet in most cases. If you can't carry a firearm where you live, or otherwise unable to, then there are other alternatives such as pepper spray and other things that can cover more distance. For close range, things like punch daggers and blades like this can be a good last-ditch effort, or to create space if you are as a companion to your firearm. I will say this: I'm a YouTuber, not a self-defense expert, so take that for what it's worth. In any event. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons, because this is a very, very large knife. So let's go ahead and look at the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and the Para 3. And really up against the Para 3, you can see this is a huge knife. You can also take a look against the Delica and really see, you're looking at a pretty big knife here. Here is the Spyderco Shaman. Now you're getting closer into the range there with the Shaman, but let's go ahead and take a look at some hinders, the XM18 and XM24. And you can see the XM24 is a big honking knife, and basically it's pretty much the same size with a little bit shorter blade than the Black Talon 2. We've got the Benchmade Contigo, another very large knife, and another fat knife, large knife, the Cold Steel AD-10, another Cold Steel. So you can really see this thing really dwarfs the Cold Steel AD-10, and that is tough to do. Now there are two other size comparisons that I think are actually really, really good here, and those are, this is a really thin profile here. Those are the Spidey Chef and the TRM Three Rivers Manufacturing Neutron. I'm sorry, Atom, not Neutron. So you can see these are two knives on the market that are known for how thin they are. That's one of the things that's interesting about this Cold Steel Black Talon 2 is it's extremely thin despite its large size. To give you an idea of just how thin it is, let's look at it against the AD-10. And the Benchmade Contigo. So you can see those are both much fatter knives. And just for good measure, here it is against an XM18. So, this has an extremely slim carry profile. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and any other notes we want to talk about here. So, on the good side, we have, like I said, this thin profile, which is excellent, makes it extremely easy to carry in the pocket, and the ergonomics on this are excellent. Your hand just really melts into this. It's extremely nice to have. The jimping falls in all the right spots over here, and then it leads to this thumb plate. The thumb plate's a nice touch because it acts as a Emerson wave. If you pull it back, it catches on the pocket, which will cause it to open. And you can see if I had a pocket instead of my finger there, it would cause it to open as you draw it out of the pocket. So that's an excellent feature there as well. And the thumb plate itself also is an extremely easy way to open this. That's how we do it as well. This is a one-handed knife if you are a little bit daring, and also if you know a little bit about knives. I wouldn't recommend necessarily opening and closing with one hand like I just did, unless you've already sort of know what you're doing. So before I did so, I made sure that, you know, when your finger's up here, it's going to come in contact not with the part of the blade that is that's exposed. In any event, this is an extremely effective blade, the blade shape for self-defense is one of the good aspects of it. What happens is, you know, obviously it's like a talon of a bird. It rips into the target, the flesh, or whatever, you know, thing that you're opening, and, you know, it digs in, and the more you pull it down, the more it bites into it and follows up the blade, and it can create some really nasty cuts. So yeah, it is there for self-defense. Again, I don't advocate that for its use, but if you are in the market for a self-defense knife, this is an excellent blade shape for that. Interestingly enough, I won't put this in the good or the bad, but this is a chisel grind. If you can't tell, it is sharpened on this side, and this side is a straight flat grind, as you can see. So that is true. This does come true for both versions of this. This comes in two different versions. It comes in the serrated version, and it comes in a regular plain edge. I got the serrated version because it was what was available to me, and also because it happened to be, you know, the one that I thought would be better for this application. It has a nice grippy G10 handles. They're not overly grippy. Like, I know a lot of people complain about the Recon 1 is overly grippy. These are not overly grippy, but they are plenty grippy. Reminds me a lot of a slightly grippier Spyderco, like a PM2 scale, although these are not stock. The blade steel is also another plus. This is S35VN. I know that Cold Steel, you know, some time ago went from XHP to S35VN in many of their knives, and this is no exception that it's made in the S35VN, which is a great steel, and the Cold Steel's heat treat is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's superior, but it's pretty good. The manufacturer is Taiwan, so all of Cold Steel's knives, except for a select few, are made in Taiwan. I believe they have a couple in the U.S., and then they have a couple in Italy, like the 4Max. I had a version in the U.S. and I think another version in Italy. But for the most part, most of their knives are made in Taiwan, and this is one of those knives. So I guess we could throw that under the bad side, I forgot to mention. This is also a backlock. I don't love backlocks, but for this application, it creates an extremely solid blade. There's no play in any direction, which gives you a lot of control, and I have to say I do like that. Getting back to the bad side, this clip is not the best. It has pretty good retention, doesn't cause your pockets to rip up like a lot of other Cold Steel stuff, but it does leave a lot of the knife exposed up here, and frankly, it's just an unattractive clip and slightly phallic. I don't love it when knives do this, when they leave space in between the front part of the scale and the blade here. It sort of collects things here, and if you ever needed to use this in a self-defense mechanism, if this was inside your pocket and you were trying to wave it open and it got caught on it, like let's say there was a bar or a key or something over here, it would not catch, it would not open. It could cause you to, you know, because it's a backlock, it could cause this to spring back onto your hand if you weren't, you know, ready for that. It could cause you to cut yourself. It could cause you to not be able to deploy a weapon in a self-defense scenario. So I think that's a huge misstep to have this over here because it's a hazard. This is, I haven't tried taking this apart, but also I will just note that there seems to be a pin. You know, there's some screws here, T6 screws. You know, I would have liked to see some T8 screws on here since this is such a large knife. And then there's also this pin over here on the back spring, as well as this the stop pin over here. I think it's just, if I had to guess, I would say it's held together by these 3 screws. But other than that, it is pretty solid. I don't have a ton else to say about it, but it is, you know, a nice knife for what it is. If you're looking for what type of use you'd use this for in EDC, and you know, if you weren't gonna use it as a self-defense knife, this is a really good knife for opening packages because of the fact that you can sort of dig into the tape and, you know, pull across. You know, it might be a little more difficult to sharpen, but that is what it is. And you would, you know, have the added benefit of having sort of a self-defense knife on you if you needed it. It does have a double-sided tip-up carry, but another negative is that it does not have four-way. It doesn't have tip-down for those of you who like tip-down. I don't think that's a problem on this particular knife, but I put it in the negative just because I thought that that it might be something that people might want to know about, or some people might want to use a knife this size in that way. I think it was more designed to be able to catch, you know, this thumb plate, though, which is why it's carried tip up. I think that's pretty much it, but you can go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell. Let me know if you have this knife or the Civilian or Matriarch. Let me know what you think about it, if you use it for EDC or for anything else. And, you know, go ahead and stay tuned, because I know it's been a while, but I do have a couple giveaways coming. Well, I have one giveaway coming, and I hope another one soon, as we're starting to approach 1,000 subscribers. Thanks so much to everyone.